Okay, just so you know, this meeting is being recorded, and that's just so that we can play it for those that aren't able to join us today. So thank you so much for joining us today for our little lunch and learn for the Glendora Unified GATE program. I'm very happy to have you here with us today. And if you have been a part of the program, there's not much that is new in terms of how it's run. So I'm just going to go over the very basics, and then we'll get into all of the workshops and things like that. So I want to honor your time, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you'll excuse me if I keep turning to the right to let people into the meeting. I don't mean to, turn my attention, but that's just where my screen is to let everyone in. Okay, so again, thank you so much for coming to this lunch and learn meeting. I'm Daniela Castro Kent. I go by Danny Kent because that's just so much easier to say. But that is my full name, just in case you're wondering who Danny Kent is, or vice versa. So I am our GATE district director, and this is my second year doing it. We've had lots of improvement over the past year or so, so I look forward to continually renewing the program and bringing more and more to our students. And part of that is, I think, reflective of you as parents too. You put a lot of work into giving me feedback that really helps to grow our program. So thank you. But more on that later. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to be going over today, and we'll do this very briefly because again, I know that many of you are on your lunch breaks. We're going to go over what GATE qualified means, when that happens. We will go over the GATE curriculum at Glendora Unified, the enrichment workshops that we offer seasonally, the parent focus group, which you can join, other parent resources, which are good to have on hand, and then my contact information and some of the things that are upcoming, like our summer program, guest speakers, and guest speaking engagements, and then more parent education nights. Without further ado, let's get going into the agenda. Okay, so GATE qualified, generally speaking, in Glendora Unified, we recognize our GATE students in third grade. That's when we test everyone. We test all students in third grade, and then that's how we determine through our COGAT testing. If you're from another district, you may have been tested at a different age, but the way we do it, third grade is the best age to test, in our opinion, based on the way the test is given and some of the test biases that happen later on for a child's development. But the third grade COGAT test seems to be the kind of like the sweet spot for kids to test. You can do it at an earlier stage, and that's something that, based on a case-by-case basis, we do offer like off-season testing. But generally speaking, we do that in third grade, and that's how we identify at that age group. We use the COGAT test. If you're in another district or you do it outside, some may use the Naglieri. And there are a couple other assessments that we deem appropriate, but those are the two that we find to be the best. So giftedness is not just high achievement. I think some people think, well, my child has straight A's and they're a really great reader, and that is fantastic. But there are certain logical processes that are kind of inherent in GATE kids. So we kind of went over the identification and how we do that in Glendora. There's also a social emotional component that you'll see some children who are very well developed in that emotional area. Their EQ or their emotional quotient is very high. That usually is indicative of a GATE student. And again, that testing would occur, and we go through to identify that way. Some general characteristics of gifted individuals: the cognitive, affective, physical, and intuitive senses within the brain. Those act in an integrated manner, and those usually tell us a lot about the student's giftedness, especially with like moral situations. That's one of the things that teachers will often say, like, if for really advanced moral development, because it takes into consideration so many factors. That's usually how we can tell, a gifted personality. And then, of course, through testing, that's how we, really determine. So there are unique characteristics, both cognitively and emotionally. And so that's why some people will continually try to retake the test. And while that may work out for some, generally speaking, third grade is like, again, that sweet spot for students to be tested because there's not too much information. It's all about the cognitive process instead of like memorizing material. That there's no way to really study for a GATE test or a COGAT test. And Those without a background in gifted education may feel that gifted children stand out because of their good grades or high achievements. And like I said, it's generally speaking more of the cognitive processes that happen in their head. So if you're here, obviously your child has been identified by one or more of these tests and they're eligible for our GATE program. And that is in GATE enrichment here at Glendora Unified. All right, so next slide we're going to cover is our GATE program in itself. So the GATE program is a really cool place, if I do say so myself. It's a family, like it says here on the slide, of students, parents, teachers, and administrators who demonstrate the outstanding ability or potential to make the most of their unique gifts and capabilities. And one of the things that I think is really unique and amazing about Glendora Unified is, and I'm going to get to this in depth later on, but we really truly believe in the equity of education here at Glendora. So we service students from any spectrum of student achievement, and this is one where in our local area, we are one of very few districts that do that. So our GATE mission statement is to provide a gifted and talented education program that uses qualitatively different instructional strategies for students who demonstrate exceptional intellectual capacity and high achievement in order to meet the unique needs of the gifted student. We feel that it's very important to hone in on those skills and offer challenges and offer moments for these students to really thrive and figure out what they want to do with that giftedness, because eventually that becomes part of our community, and that's really great to foster that. All right. Next, we have our curriculum. So one of the most common questions is, okay, does my student go into a different class now? Well, no, we cluster our classes so that there is an equitable spread of students. There's differentiated instruction at all levels. So those who need more remedial work, they receive that in the classroom all the way to more challenging activities. So there's depth and complexity in all of our instruction. Teachers have all been trained. If you look on the bottom right, the dimensions of depth and complexity of those icons, teachers have all been trained. You'll see those in classrooms as well. And that's a way for students to identify now from K through 12 about these different ways to explore information. And they vary in terms of, very basic vocabulary type of situations to more details, trends, big ideas. All of these different icons represent different levels of thinking and help students process things at a much deeper level. We also offer advanced classes and AP courses for those that are more in middle school and high school. It's the general education in elementary with the differentiated instruction. And then once they get to more leveled instruction in middle and high school, that's where we have the advanced and AP courses. And that's not just for GATE students, but there is a heavy concentration of GATE students, as you would imagine. And then, of course, our GATE workshops, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Those we offer to GATE students only. And we also like to focus on the well-rounded child, and that's why you'll see that some of our enrichment programs or workshops that we offer focus on the arts and music. So the GATE enrichment workshops, this is probably what you are most excited about or most interested in. I know that kids really love these. And one of the things that, like I was mentioning earlier, is really unique to Glendora is that we offer GATE instruction or GATE workshops. Most students will receive differentiated instruction in different districts, but ours is unique in that the state of California used to pay for GATE instruction and GATE workshops and no longer does. So Glendora found that it was, in order to be the most equitable, in our local, our LCAP, our local control and accountability plan, we actually pay for these courses. And we have teachers from our district who are qualified to teach these GATE workshops. And then we also seek out, individuals from the community that offer coding and all sorts of different workshops so that students can explore different ways of learning that they may not receive in the general education classroom. So some important dates about that. We offer a pretty vast breadth of workshops, and they vary each semester or each season rather. And even though it may seem that, there's maybe a light season and a heavier season, it just depends on the availability of the teachers and the other instructional assistance that we can get to take these programs on. So Monday, September 9th, you are going to get an email with a calendar of workshops on Six Crickets. If you're like, what is Six Crickets? Six Crickets is our platform. It's a website that allows us to manage the enrollment and attendance of all of our students taking part in the GATE workshops. And it's only GATE students that are allowed in this platform. So that's why Monday, September 9th, I'm going to give you this information. I want you to test your 6Crickets account, and I'll give you instructions for that. And then once you do that, make sure that you can see the workshops. You can, click on a little heart, which basically is like a wish list of sorts, and that way you can go back to that and then assemble your workshops. I'm asking that only 2 workshops per child are reserved so that we can have enough for everybody. And then after open enrollment ends, which is on Friday, I believe September 13th, then you can go in for more. Since we do offer these as free workshops to GATE students, we don't want to see that one student is taking like 6 classes with where another student's only taking 1 because of the registration process. So everyone will be let in at the same time, and that's on September 11th at 9 a.m. And again, please check your registration because we do have wait lists. And if you're checking your registration or your login information on Wednesday, chances are you may not get the workshop that you would like to get. So it's good you'll have 2 days to test it and then receive help from me if you need help logging in if there's an issue. So it's good to get that done from Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday you'll be good to go. And again, 2 classes per child. You can enroll for more after that open registration ends on Friday, September 13th. We have our courses begin on Monday, September 16th. All right, next slide. You also have the option to join our parent focus group, and this is a really great opportunity. I get so much out of this, and I think our students do too. Even just from the survey that I posted before this meeting, there were a lot of parents that it's so good for me to see what parents want based on their students' desires and interests, and that's really helpful for me. So to take that even one step further is to join our parent focus group. I'll have more information on that meeting, but I think I sent out a link. In fact, I am going to give you guys this link here. 1 second. Copy this really quickly. All right, put this in the chat. There are lots of links here for you. And one of them is the parent focus group link that will give you an opportunity to either be part of the focus group or provide feedback for the focus group so that we can design workshops and improve our program overall. So I highly encourage that. Parent resources, that is in the link that I just sent you. I know that I'll often have parents call and say, my child is really gifted. Sometimes they just don't know how to work with them or how to deal with, especially like the social emotional side. Sometimes giftedness can be a way that students almost feel isolated. When someone doesn't think or speak or work like they do, it can be isolating for them. And so sometimes parents struggle with that. So I have some links here that are helpful in engaging your child as well as understanding them and understanding some of the emotional, emotional side that comes with giftedness. And lastly, there's my contact information. Again, it's on that link. And feel free to call me, email me about any questions that you may have. And I will open up for some questions. But again, if it's something that is not necessarily for the good of the group, feel free to email me or call me. That's the best way to first honor everyone's time. And then second, make sure that, for student privacy, that it's not, an issue isn't, delved into on a Google Meet. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up. I'm going to stop my recording, and then I'll open up for questions. And again, you have my contact information if you need any more information on our GATE program. Thank you so much for joining me today on our Lunch and Learn, and I'll open up for questions. Thank you so much.